this is Samsa again from GamingOnLinux.com, and today I'm going to talk to you about Nuclear Throne. So Nuclear Throne is a top-down indie roguelite shooter currently in early access and is developed and published by Vlambeer. You play as one of 12 characters, though you only start with 2, but you can unlock the rest by playing the game. And each of these characters has their own abilities and bonuses. For example, the character called Melting can blow up corpses, so if he kills some guy, he can also blow up his corpse after he's dead, and that can cause damage to other enemies around him. And then there's, for example, another character called a Robot that can eat weapons that you find for extra ammo and health. Your task is quite simple. You need to reach the Nuclear Throne, and that's why the game is called Nuclear Throne. And to do that, you need to go through various kinds of levels and clear them out of enemies, and that way you progress to the next level. Over the course of the game, you will naturally find ammo and health, which are very important for your survival, but also new weapons. And the weapons in this game are quite crazy. You have all kinds of weapons, like some are very basic, like shotguns and assault rifles, but then there are like toxic grenade launchers. It's quite crazy. And then you also have level ups, and in order to level up you need to collect radiation that you usually get from killing enemies. And this radiation is used when you have enough of it, you get a mutation. And these mutations are sort of like buffs, that they do various kinds of things like increase health, increase accuracy, increase walking speed, and all kinds of things like that. Some of these mutations are also character specific, so usually they are somehow tied to the abilities of the characters. So usually it increases the power of these abilities, or it does something with the ability that is somehow beneficial to you. There are these other types of buffs called crowns that you might be able to get them. I have never gotten them, but they are sort of hidden, and getting to them is quite difficult. But they are sort of like mutations, but they also have negatives in addition to positives. You need to make some careful decisions when you pick those up. As you can see, the game is very fast-paced and full of action. The game is all about like split-second reactions, and it gets very bullet hell-ish, especially when there are a lot of enemies on the screen. But there's basically no story. It's not even worth talking about a story with Nuclear Throne, because for now the only story you have is that you need to get to the Nuclear Throne. You're not told why. You're not even told who these people are that you're playing as. You're only given this simple task of, well, not so simple. It sounds simple, but it's not very simple. I have never reached the Nuclear Throne, but you just need to get there and you need to kill the final boss, and that's basically it. The game works very well on Linux. They had it broken like a couple of releases ago, and it didn't really work. Maybe it could have been something to do with the Steam integration or something like that. And there was a fix for it, like you had to just remove a directory, but that has now been fixed, and the game works very nicely once again. There are some complaints that I could probably share with you. The resolution options aren't great. The game is always in like 4:3 resolution, even when you go like full screen. It's not too bad, but it's something to consider. And the game is also locked at 30 frames per second, so those of you who want a 60 frames per second experience, you are not going to get that from Nuclear Throne, at least for now. That being said, for me it hasn't really affected the experience, so I don't really mind it. In a game like this, when it's top-down, it doesn't really matter if the game is in 30 FPS. Sometimes a little bit of smoothness would probably be very good, especially when there's a lot of action going on. It might make dodging the enemy bullets a little bit easier, but for me 30 frames per second for this game is totally fine. I don't really mind it. And overall it's a fun experience that can be played in quick sessions without much worry. The runs are relatively quick, like a single run usually for me, it takes like maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and 10 minutes is like, that's sort of stretching it. I don't think I can manage a run that is that long. So usually I die long before that. That makes the game easy to enjoy in like short bursts. So even if I have very little time, I can still manage to squeeze in a nuclear throne run. So I don't really have to worry about like time-consuming stuff a whole lot. Then we go back to the sort of the story stuff. There is no real end to this game. So when you reach the final boss and you kill him, or it rather, the game simply loops back to, I think it's like the first level, but the difference is that you get a lot more enemies, so the game gets more difficult over time. But you can still progress just fine in the game. So if you want an infinite experience, because this is definitely an infinite experience, you can do as many runs as you like, or you can do as many loops rather as you want. And so there's definitely that. But once again, those people who want some story, they are not going to like this too much, because there is, seriously, I'm completely serious. There is no story here. Just there is simply no story. It's full of action, but then again, it's very good action, and I definitely do like this game, and I would like to give this game my recommendations, because this game it's really fun, and the characters are very different to one another, so there is a lot of variety here, and because of the various kinds of mutations that you can pick up, you can create some very interesting combos of like weapons, mutations and characters that might work really well together or really poorly. It depends very much on the stuff you pick up, but you can get very interesting builds in this game, and experimenting with all of that stuff is part of the fun of this experience. So overall, I do give my recommendations to Nuclear Throne. I think it's, at this point, it's very playable. It has a daily mode, so if you want like extra challenge and want to challenge other people, you can go to the daily challenge. They are also, it seems, planning on doing some co-op stuff. The co-op hasn't been implemented yet. It's in the main menu, but it doesn't really do anything. It simply says that they are reworking that. But it seems that there is going to be a co-op in this game, and I'm definitely interested to see that. But for a single player experience, it's already quite awesome, and I do recommend it, especially now that it has been properly fixed on Linux. In any case, that has been Nuclear Throne, and we will see in future videos.